Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today's video I just decided to do a little introduction about who I am and why I'm making these videos, because maybe you've seen some videos that I've made, maybe you haven't. My name is Bara and I live currently in Czech Republic. I lived in many different places in my life. I lived in London, where I started learning English. I lived in Cancun, Mexico, and then I lived also on the East Coast in New Jersey, and I was visiting New York every weekend almost to see my ex-boyfriend, who was a photographer as well, who taught me actually photography. He taught me all about how to work with computers and the Photoshop and Adobe programs. And then I lived also on the West Coast, where I married my husband now, and I live with him for over 10 years now, and we have a son who is 6 years old. So this is briefly to kind of like show you that I've been to many places. I lived in many places. That's also why I speak English, and I would not really learn language unless I would live in a country. I'm not very good with languages, so it really helps me to live in the different countries to just learn. And I really love speaking different language because it's so enriching. It's really cool to be able to think in a different language, because in each language you think a little bit different. I speak Czech, that's my native language. I also speak Slovak, which is, we used to be Czechoslovakia, and I speak English. I also learn German, but I don't really speak German. It's very minimal. I know words and I know how to introduce myself and stuff like that, but I just never learned really properly. I just really enjoy learning. I am very creative. I've always been very creative. I like to express myself in a creative way, and that's why I became photographer. I wanted to study a school, like we have a system here in Czech that the high school can be already specialized in what you would like to do as your occupation, your job. But I did not get into the school that I wanted to do, which would be like acting and singing. And that's why I'm making these videos, because I like to talk in front of camera. It's just fun for me. I always did some fun sketches with my friend. We would just come up with some plays and just like make some fun parody of some commercials, like even just a long time ago when there was the VHS, like yes, I'm from that time. So we had like a bigger camera and we were just like, you know, recording some of those sketches. It was really funny. We basically like the stand-up comedy. We were just like improvising, so it was improv, and it was always fun. And also I always liked crafts and just work with my hands, so that's something that I always enjoyed as well. Besides also singing, I love to sing and I love to dance, and I also play recorder and clarinet. Now I'm learning to play piano with my son, so that's exciting. I always wanted to play piano actually, and I'm finally fulfilling that dream, because when you play piano you can sing along, and that was my goal. When I play recorder, this is actually a big one, this is like a different kind, like I have also a small one. You cannot play along and sing, you can only do one at a time. So I'm excited to learn how to play piano. I also play a little bit of guitar. I wanted to, because I was singing along with the guitar, but it was because I was going to children camps. I liked working with kids, but like, well, I liked working with older kids or teenagers. I'm not super good with small kids. I'm one of 9 kids, but I grew up one of 8 kids. Well, I had to help with my younger siblings because I was the second oldest, so it was a lot of work. And I had a lot of resentment and a lot of anger that I had to grow up very fast, and I did not have like carefree childhood basically. But it shaped me into who I am, and it helped me to become strong and an independent woman, and also very responsible. I also was encouraged to step into my power and not to live as a victim anymore. But I really believe that it's important, if we want to move forward in our life, to step in our power and take the responsibility for our own life. Stop with victimizing ourselves and and just blaming others for our misfortune or why things are not working out, and just take the steps forward to, do something about it. Also, what is kind of like my life mission is to help people. I always loved helping people. This is like something that I wanted to I just want to inspire people to be themselves, be authentic, be truly who they are, because everybody is unique. And as a photographer, I love capturing the essence of people. This is so much fun for me, to meet new people, to really be able to see them, and truly capture the true essence of who they are, because everybody is beautiful, everybody has something unique about them, and everybody has something to offer and something to give. Everybody has different gifts and skills and a different approach to life. Like, everybody has different story, and everybody's story is worth capturing and worth seeing and listening and being present to. And I think that that's the biggest gift that we can actually give each other, the true presence. Especially nowadays, with all the social media and all the distraction that is out there, it's really, really the biggest gift to be present, to truly see somebody, to truly be there for them. And it's a skill that needs to be practiced. It doesn't come, just like, and it's there, or nobody is really teaching us how to be there, how to communicate, how to listen, how to be critical with our thinking. That's not very normal curriculum for a school. But as I mentioned, I've been part of doing the children programs at the children camps, and because of that I actually had to study some psychology. So when I was about 16 or 17, I started studying. It was like a year course where every weekend we were studying, and it was not just psychology, but it was also like how to actually interact with kids, how to talk to kids, how to be aware of kids' needs, and how to be able to communicate with them efficiently, and how to play and be able to engage with them. So that was very, very beneficial and interesting for me as well, as a a teenager at the time. And I fell in love with psychology. I thought that everybody should learn psychology, at least the basics, because if we've known at least like the basic knowledge of psychology, we would be able to work on ourselves way more, and we would improve our behavior, because we would know that a lot of things are habitual, they're not given. There are some personality traits, of course, but it's all taught basically. Like our parents taught us, the society taught us, there are some expectations at school and etc. So it's really interesting to see, and then that's when I started to see that we can, as human beings, we can actually change a lot, and we can alter many things, and we can become masters of how we are going to react to certain situations. Because sometimes, of course, like there are situations that we cannot really do something about it. The only thing that we can do is to control how we react or what we do in the situation that we are faced with. It's a big freedom actually to understand that and to realize that and to step into that personal power. It's a big empowerment actually to be aware of who you are, where you are at, what skills you have, what gifts you have, also what is your not strong suit, and what you can improve or what to delegate, because sometimes it's really important to learn. And that's what I learned later in life, like not as a young teenager. Like you usually think that you know the best, and you're just like everybody is like wrong and you're right, and but it's just what it is. Like it's important time of life, and it's important process, and it's a process to think that a certain way, and then you're changing your way you think based on your experiences and based on shared experiences of others, and being able to reflect and to be able to really learn from the mistakes, or I wouldn't even call it mistakes, but it's certain aspects and interesting life experiences that can be sometimes very hard and challenging, but those challenges actually shape us the most. Those very difficult situations are transformative the most. What I've always thought about when I was growing up, or when I was a teenager, and I was thinking like, what is my life purpose, what would I like to do, was that I was pretty aware that I am good with people. I like to talk to people and to engage with them, and I also wanted to help them. So I thought that psychology is really one way to help, but I didn't want to become a psychologist. I was also very artistic, and I loved expressing myself artistically. It became clearer and clearer that I'm very good at photography, actually, that I can capture, and I can, like, I see something and I can capture it in a very pleasant way that tells the story, and not everybody can see it. So everybody has a different set of skills, and I studied actually economy high school, so it wasn't my dream school, but at the same time, like I learned how to type with all my fingers, and I learned how to work, how to basically be able to present myself in some business settings, and also how to deal with suppliers or just clients, and that's very helpful. As a self-employed, that's been very helpful. So I believe that every single step of the way of our life journey, there is something that is preparing us to become the real potential that we are, and we either are gonna fulfill that potential or are gonna be fulfilling that potential. We don't have to, it's up to us. But I believe that all the depression and unhappiness comes from the unfulfilled desire to be more, to create more, to just express yourself, like to express myself. I've been depressed only very briefly in my life, and that was after my brother's death. My brother killed himself. I would say that was the hardest time of my life, because I've never lost somebody so young in a suicide. Before that, I lost my grandmother, and it was not very traumatic. It was very natural. I accepted it very easily, I would say. So when my brother killed himself, it was a huge wake-up call, I guess, to the reality of how much struggle people can deal with until they can't. And at that time, I was thinking about, because I always have like some topics that I kind of like entertain and think about, and somehow I'm trying to find, I don't know how to say that, like, well, usually like I'm experiencing things and then I have the deeper understanding of that topic, for example. So this was actually the time before my brother even killed himself. I was thinking about depression for a while, and I was wondering how people even become depressed and what it is, like why is it even happening? How is it possible that somebody gets into such a deep darkness that they don't see the way out? And it was not, I just couldn't understand it until I lost my brother, and all of a sudden I was depressed myself. Because I had a practice of mindfulness already for many years, I could recognize that I'm depressed. I didn't recognize it the first month, so within like the first few weeks I started recognizing that, oh, this is actually depression. It's not just being sad. I'm not sad anymore. I'm actually depressed. And that was a very important wake-up call for me, because I realized that I'm not gonna serve anybody nor me if I'm gonna stay in depression. That's not gonna help me or anybody else. And it was really hard to get out of the depression. It's not easy once you are in it, but it can happen throughout life due to various reasons, of course. But the thing is, though, to get yourself out of depression, you need to have certain knowledge and certain practice to be able to step out of that. And sometimes pills can help to overcome the most difficult times, but at the same time, I would just look at it as a temporary fix. I would not look at it as something that has to be fixed for the rest of your life. Also, even if you are depressed, what can be comforting to know or to remind yourself is that nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent, everything is changing. And when I realized that everything's changing and nothing's permanent, it gave me a lot of comfort, actually. A lot of, yeah, comfort, that would be the right word. It wasn't the cure, it wasn't just like magic pill and I was already cured and everything was great again. It took time and dedication, but we usually know what helps us. We just don't implement it. And sometimes we need a friend or somebody who can listen to us, which could be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They're also overworked themselves a lot, so I would also suggest to maybe try some alternative help, as maybe some coaching on mentoring or some healing sessions. There's so many different ways to really dive deep into self-love and self-confidence and self-awareness. So don't wait until you're depressed. That's a very difficult starting point, but you don't get into depression from nowhere. Like, it usually has some, you know, consequences why we got there. Those situations, I have also a video about depression and how to recognize your depression. That's very important. Like, the first step is usually to recognize that we are depressed and what can we do about it, and then get yourself out of it with help. Usually it's important to acknowledge that. The more we go through some difficult times in life and we get through it, then we are stronger. We might have more scars, but we are beautiful just the way we are, because we are enough. We are enough now, right now, in this moment. That's what I do also through photography. I also love to capture that right here, right now, you're beautiful. You don't need to lose weight. You don't need to have a new haircut. You don't need to have a lot of makeup on to think or, you know, like, be beautiful. You're beautiful just the way you are. It's about if somebody can see you, if somebody can truly be present to who you are. And you're a gift. Everybody's a gift, and if we are authentic and if we are ourselves, we are the gift to this world. I started making these videos, it's called Mapping My Cycle, because I realized that for my health and for my well-being, I need to know myself. And if I know my cycle, how I'm changing and how everything is changing for me as a woman, then I will be more aware and more understanding of what's happening to me. I can be more compassionate and loving to myself, and I can be more accepting. So that's such a profound and healing journey that I took on. And in this past year and a half since I started making these videos, I just feel so much more in tune with myself. I feel so much more centered. I feel so much more stable, and I don't feel like those, you know, like PMS and a lot of like emotional changes and turbulences. Sometimes things happen, of course, but it's not as, I would say, intense. If you are in your core, in your really like the center, you are like the hurricane around you is not gonna sweep you and take you with it. Like, you're just gonna still stay centered, and you can be observing what is happening, and you can decide how you can react or what you are gonna react to certain situations, in certain situations. I must say that I love myself the most that I've ever had. I really am becoming more fulfilled, more happy, and more joyful than I've ever been. I just celebrated my 40th birthday this year, and I just feel amazing. Not all the time, and it's normal, but most of the time I feel a lot of appreciation and gratitude for being alive, for being here, for being able to share my story and my life with others, because that's the biggest gift that I can give to everybody else. To be me, to be just who I am, and to be authentic. Another thing besides photography, I also work with women. I'm basically doing healing sessions for women. I'm also doing rituals for women, those like transitional rituals that are very important, like menarche, when you first become a woman, when you are becoming a mom, or when you are a mom, when you are becoming mom again, or when you are going into menopause. Like, all these transitional times are very important to acknowledge. So that's why I'm doing, and that's why I'm preparing rituals for women. It's just a very normal way. It's nothing like, I don't know if you can imagine it like some esoteric thing. It's very normal, and it should be just like a normal part of life, because it's just the acknowledgement of something important and transitional happening. And I also encourage women to dive deeper into their cycle, and to be more aware of their cycle and how to work with their cycle. So that's another thing how I help women as well. I'm also facilitating women's groups, and I have many years of experience leading women's groups, which is a lot of beautiful healing that can happen for women as well, when they realize that they don't have to compete anymore, but they can actually cooperate and be supportive of each other. So that's in a half an hour time to tell you what I do, and how I came here, what was my journey in shorter way. So that's it for today. Thank you for staying throughout this whole video. I hope that my introduction was somewhat helpful, or tell you more about why I'm making videos on YouTube. If you have any comments, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write me. You can also subscribe to my channel. I'm posting every Wednesday. Every other Wednesday I post in English, every other Wednesday I post in Czech, and I look forward to see you at my next video. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!